But that's just to get y'all on here. College athletes definitely deserve to get paid. As a former Division I All-American, All-Conference player in the MAC from Ohio University, ex-NFL free agent, I believe college athletes deserve to get paid. I'm liking the way the NIL is going right now. Obviously, it's still very new. Coming off of March Madness, I love to see the women getting paid. I knew they were going to get paid because, again, sex sells, right? We live in America, and a lot of these girls, you know, they could sell their sex, right? They can sell sex appeal. They can sell themselves being in bikinis. They can sell eyelashes, hair, makeup. You know, like that's just how our marketing and advertising works. The guys, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to find some different deals. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, like I was saying college athletes deserve to get paid, you know, over a decade ago when I was playing. And I was actually being told, no, you don't deserve to get paid. You're on scholarship. That's enough. But when you see and you understand, one, that these college athletes are working on the behalf of these large universities and they're being used as marketing tools for Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. They're being used as marketing tools for McDonald's, Pepsi, Bud Light. The coaches, you know, are getting paid $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. Some of these coaches are being paid more than the governors of their state. These athletes definitely deserve to get paid and be compensated for, you know, what they're doing. And I think they deserve to get compensated more than just their NIL deals, because when you understand ticket sales, when you understand the advertising and marketing money behind these universities, when you understand the endowment funds behind these universities, when you understand how many of these executives and CEOs and CFOs and COOs come from these institutions and they leverage the institution, when you understand that a lot of these you know, corporations go back to the university to recruit these students for their business programs, from the business programs, from healthcare, medical programs, from communications programs, journalism schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Athletes deserve to be paid because they are working. If you don't show up to practice, you got to pay for that. If you show up late, you got to pay for that. And you don't just lose a scholarship. Like, your character is always being, you know, in question and hanging in the balance. And when you see how large these media deals are with these conferences, it's no reason that these athletes, one, the athletes don't get insurance benefits after they graduate. So, you know, if you get hurt, you know, while you're playing, obviously a lot of guys get ACL injuries, you know, guys get concussions, all types of things happen. You know, players deserve to get compensated. And when you just look at and you understand that, you know, a teenager could go work a job and get paid, right? Like, a teenager could start a business and make tons of money. These athletes can start their own businesses and make tons of money off of leveraging their name, image, and likeness. And so, obviously, this is a new landscape. You know, I think it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of, you know, you're going to have guys, you know, the reason I wanted to do this because I just saw a video that said a 5-star athlete said he wanted to get paid and told Dion he wanted to get paid. Now, the fact that Dion is telling cats, like, don't come here thinking you're going to get paid is asinine, especially when his son is getting paid. And especially when his son gets to leverage who his father is. Not everybody gets to leverage their father being Deion motherfucking Sanders. Not everybody gets, I mean, even Deion Jr. leveraging who his dad is and building his own media entity on the back of his father. You know what I mean? Like, most of these underserved kids may not even come from a household with a father. You know what I mean? So the fact that he came out his mouth and said, don't think you're going to come here and get NIL money or deals is stupid. One, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know, you want the players to come play. But we also know, I know for me personally, like, I wasn't playing football just thinking like, oh, I'm playing just because, you know, just for the hell of it. Like once I got to a certain point, it was like, oh, I can make some money from this. Oh, I can go to college. I mean, getting a college scholarship was for the money, right? Because I knew my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, even though my parents made good money, but I didn't want to take out no student loans. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want my brothers and sisters to have a lesser life because my parents were trying to pay for me to go to college. You know what I mean? And so we got to understand, like, one, this is a bigger issue than anything because we know a lot of these kids are coming from, lesser means. These kids are coming from, a lot of times, poverty. A lot of times, these kids are seen as the breadwinners. There's so much pressure on these kids to be successful. There's so much pressure on these kids to make it to the NFL. And we know that less than 2% of them are going to make it to the NFL. So why shouldn't I make as much money in my prime as possible, excuse me, on the biggest stage? College football, college basketball is the biggest stage. It's bigger than some of these pro sports. We saw that women's basketball had 9.9 million views. Like, you don't think those girls deserve to get paid? You don't think those girls deserve to set up their trust funds and their estates and their wills and their bank accounts so that if something happens to them, they just played in one of the biggest games in the history of college sports, male and female? You don't think they deserve to be compensated for that? They're going to be playing these games forever, and those kids won't get paid from that. Now, I'm of the mindset America's all about capitalism. So don't raise us to be capitalists and then you mad because the kids is trying to capitalize. That just makes absolutely no sense to me. You know what I mean? And so for me, granted, it shouldn't overshadow the play. You know what I mean? But again, you're going to have guys get NIL deals that don't even play. You're going to have guys that are able to create social media channels. You're going to have guys that are able to create their own brands and awareness that don't even play. So the fact that we're saying that, these kids shouldn't be compensated for what they're doing, and what they're creating and what they offer, and the kids understand the social media better than most of the adults. The kids understand, the branding and the imagery more than the adults. The adults, we have this thing, people become adults and it's like, well, we just gonna, these kids don't know what they're talking about. These kids just are ungrateful. These kids are, who raised us? Who conditioned us? Who trained us to be this way? That's what I always say. It's like, you have people that say, well, I don't want my kids to have to work harder than me, or I don't want my kids to have to go through the same. Most of these kids are more popular than their own parents. Most of these kids, have a chance to make more money than their parents. So we need to be cultivating them. We need to be assisting them in the journey. Not trying to micromanage them, not trying to stifle them and say, no, you shouldn't just do it. You shouldn't do it. Like, you shouldn't have. No, that is not what we should be doing. We should be encouraging them. And one understanding, especially if you are, an African-American young boy in America, like, we should be teaching these boys, y'all got to squeeze every penny out of this, because making some money does not determine, if you love the game and you're a baller, the money not gonna really change much. Either you gonna come out and ball or you not. Like, you don't make the money if you're not necessarily balling. If you gonna leverage being a dog, if you're gonna leverage being, an elite athlete, you don't make the money. LeBron James don't make the money he make if he don't, put up the numbers. But any athlete knows that if you love the game, you're going to put in the work for the game. You know what I mean? The money's not going to really change your effort. Now you might have some guys that get a bag and then be like, I'm done. You might get a guy that gets a bag, or a girl that gets a bag and be like, yo, I'm good. Like, I got a mill. I'm gonna take my little millie. I'm gonna get my degree, and I'm gonna retire. That's very possible. But first of all, and then we need more pro sports. We need more pro sports when it comes to football and basketball. We need more than the NBA G League. You go overseas and they have tons of different leagues in these other countries. There's no reason America shouldn't have more leagues. We should have more than the XFL. We should have more than just the NFL. There should be way more opportunities, because the league average in football is only 3.5 years. You know what I mean? So guys, even if you do make the league, you're only gonna get one contract. Most guys don't even make it to their second contract where they get big payouts. So that's just my 2 cents. I wanted to come in and, I know I'm a little rogue. I know I'm a little, off the beaten path. I have friends that coach football and coach college and disagree with, my take on things. But again, they're a part of the system, right? They're in the system and they have to go by different rules. When you're out of the system, you don't have to go by the same rules. And that's something that I've noticed very early on, is that I don't always have to go by the rules. And that's cool with me, you know what I mean? But that's just the way it is. But I'm tuning out. Peace.